You don't see it at first, because you're loyal, because you're focused on building, giving, trusting, and that is exactly why it catches you off guard. Let me ask you this. What if betrayal doesn't begin with a kiss, but with a shift in energy so quiet, most men never feel it until the damage is already done? She changes, not suddenly, but slowly. A delay in response here, a laugh that doesn't reach her eyes there. Moments that used to feel warm now feel rehearsed. Most men miss it because they don't want to believe it, because the truth threatens the picture they worked so hard to protect. But the Stoic man he sees, not with paranoia, but with presence, with the discipline to observe, the self-respect to accept, and the strength to act without begging for proof. Today, you'll uncover the hidden signs of infidelity. Most men ignore the emotional fractures, the silent retreats, the truths that aren't spoken but felt. This isn't about fear, it's about clarity, because peace is not found in denial, it's earned through awareness. So, if you're ready to protect your soul without chasing shadows, let's begin with the first hidden sign that tells a grounded man she's no longer fully here. Number 1. Sudden kindness without clear reason. When a woman starts treating you unusually well, without a clear emotional reason, she may not be loving you more. She may be hiding the fact that she's already betraying you. It doesn't begin with distance, it begins with warmth. She's softer than usual, more thoughtful. She brings you coffee in the morning, asks about your day with unusual care, texts you sweet words she hasn't said in months, and you smile thinking she's finally returning to you, thinking maybe things are turning around. But beneath that surface calm, beneath those new, gentle gestures, something feels off. Like a melody with one note out of tune. Like a script rehearsed just a bit too perfectly. And deep in your gut, you feel it. This isn't how she used to love me. Because when a woman's love is genuine, her tenderness flows from connection, not compensation. But when it comes from guilt, her affection becomes a disguise. A performance, a way to prepay for the betrayal she knows she cannot explain. It's not that she no longer cares. It's that she's trying to calm your soul before you begin asking questions. She overcorrects. She tries to erase the tension by flooding you with comfort. She may cook your favorite meal, be unusually patient, even initiate intimacy. But when you look into her eyes, you realize she's not here. And here's where most men fall. They cling to this sudden goodness. They interpret it as redemption. They finally exhale and tell themselves, she's coming back to me. But they don't realize she's not coming back. She's covering tracks. Epictetus said, appearances are deceptive and not to be trusted. So how do you tell the difference? Simple. You don't just watch the gesture, you watch the motive behind it. If her softness arrives after a period of tension, if she becomes kind immediately after secrecy, if her attention appears right when you start pulling away, you must ask, is she being kind or is she keeping me calm? Because true love is steady. It doesn't arrive with guilt and it doesn't bloom from shame. True love doesn't fluctuate to manage suspicion. It remains constant because it has nothing to hide. So when she suddenly becomes the woman you wished she'd been months ago, don't rush to believe. Observe, hold still, stay grounded. Because if her sweetness fades the moment you stop reacting, if her care disappears when you don't praise it, if her affection vanishes when you start asking for honesty, that wasn't love, that was damage control. And the Stoic man, he doesn't cling to temporary comfort. He doesn't worship warmth that feels like strategy. He doesn't trade his intuition for a kiss that tastes like apology. He simply breathes, he watches. He listens to the language beneath her words and trusts the wisdom of silence more than the comfort of performance. Because love, when it's real, doesn't need to be this calculated. And when it's not real, no amount of kisses, kindness, or sugar-coated rituals can cover what the soul already knows. Number 2, her phone becomes a private world. The moment she starts hiding her screen, turning it face down, or taking it with her everywhere, understand she's not just guarding a device, she's guarding a secret. She used to scroll next to you, laugh at random videos, show you texts from friends, even ask your opinion before replying. But now everything's locked. Every notification is a mystery. Every buzz is followed by a sudden swipe or a turned screen. You ask who it was. She shrugs. Nobody, just work, just my sister, nothing important. And she smiles while saying it, but the smile doesn't reach her eyes. The phone is never out of reach now, never left charging across the room, never handed to you when she's driving. Even in the shower, she places it face down like it might reveal something if left alone for too long. And most men, they dismiss this. They tell themselves, she just values privacy. I don't want to seem controlling. Everyone's glued to their phones now. But here's what the Stoic man understands. In a relationship built on trust, secrecy doesn't feel this sacred. Her phone has become a second life. A world she visits emotionally, one she no longer invites you into. And no, this isn't about surveillance. It's not about knowing every friend she texts or every reel she watches. It's about energy. And right now, hers is hiding. The way she guards her phone, the way she tenses when you lean close, the way she stops smiling when a certain name pops up, that's not privacy. That's a partition. It's how women create space between the man they're with and the emotions they're cultivating elsewhere. It might be another man. It might be inappropriate emotional closeness with a friend. It might be fantasies she doesn't want you to see, or simply conversations that confirm what she won't say out loud. She's not loyal anymore, not in spirit, not in presence, and soon not in body either. And the more suspicious you become, the more she'll turn the tables. You don't trust me. Why are you so insecure? It's just my phone. What's the big deal? But remember this. Anyone who values transparency doesn't fear curiosity. They welcome clarity because they have nothing to lose by being seen. So when she makes you feel guilty for simply noticing her withdrawal, she's not protecting privacy, she's protecting a lie. And this is where many men break. They start pleading, they demand passwords, they start checking her phone in secret, but not the Stoic man. He does not play detective. He does not investigate what his soul already knows. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change. But if I'm right, I'll keep to my path." You don't need to prove her wrong. You just need to know what's right for you. If trust is fading, if presence is disappearing, if you're sleeping next to someone who lives more fully in their phone than in your eyes, you don't rage. You don't react. You recenter. You build your strength. You return to mission. You make it known without raising your voice that your space is sacred, and anything that must be hidden has no place in your kingdom, because love that's real doesn't hide behind screen locks, and intimacy that's alive doesn't flinch when the phone buzzes. A woman who is with you in truth doesn't need to protect her phone from you. She protects you from the world, not the other way around. So when that shift happens, don't pretend it's nothing. It's everything. And if she cannot live with open eyes and an open phone, then perhaps she was never meant to live in your arms. Number 3, constant criticism over small things. She's not mad because you left the dishes. She's mad because she needs a reason to explain, at least to herself, why she's already emotionally gone. One day, it begins. You're late by 5 minutes. She sighs like you missed your wedding. You forgot to reply to her message. She says you're always distant. You said something in jest. Suddenly, you're accused of not being supportive. But it wasn't always like this. You remember a time when she would laugh, shrug, or let the little things go, when your imperfections made you human, not unbearable. Now she's sharp, restless, easily offended. It feels like you're walking through a minefield of her expectations. And no matter how careful you step, something always explodes. You wonder if you've changed, if you've become careless, if you're somehow messing things up without knowing. But here's the Stoic truth. She's not really angry at you. She's angry at her own betrayal, and she needs to project it somewhere. When a woman starts to pull away, especially toward another man, or even just toward disconnection, her conscience can't sit still. Even if she never admits it out loud, her body remembers loyalty. Her soul remembers truth. But the mind needs to justify the drift. So what does it do? It rewrites the story. It makes you the reason. You weren't there enough. You didn't listen. You didn't make her feel beautiful, safe, adored. Suddenly, your every action becomes part of her justification. Her criticism isn't random, it's methodical. It's a form of silent storytelling where she becomes the victim. You may be calm, supportive, consistent, but to her dissonant mind, you must now become the problem, because only then can she believe she's not doing something wrong. And if you don't recognize this, you'll start to believe her narrative. You'll apologize for things that aren't your fault. You'll bend more, soften more, try harder, not realizing the more you do, the more she will resent you for being weak. Because that's the paradox. A woman who's preparing to emotionally detach subconsciously wants you to break down so she has permission to walk away. But the Stoic man doesn't break. He stands, not in defiance, but in clarity. He listens to the criticism without absorbing its poison. He watches the pattern, not just the words. Epictetus warned, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." So don't let your mind betray your center. Don't confuse criticism for truth. Don't let her war with herself become your collapse. Instead, stay rooted. Ask yourself, is this who she truly is, or is this who she needs me to be to excuse her fading loyalty? Then ask, do I want to stay where my character is constantly put on trial? If the answer is no, you don't explain yourself. You don't argue. You simply reclaim your peace. Sometimes the strongest move isn't to prove your worth. It's to stop giving it to someone who only sees your flaws, because it's easier than facing her own betrayal. Because love that turns critical without cause is not love anymore, it's a cover-up. And if she can't love you in your humanness, if she needs you to be the villain just so she can silence her guilt, then let her go. Let her find someone else to crucify. You don't belong on a cross. You belong on your path, strong, still, and sovereign. Number 4, she avoids eye contact during key moments. The eyes are where the soul speaks. And when she looks away, especially when it matters, she's not just hiding from you, she's hiding from herself. There was a time when her gaze lingered, when she looked into you, not just at you. In silence, she used to hold your eyes like they were home. Even in conflict, especially in conflict, she didn't look away. She faced you, because her love still had nothing to hide. But now she looks at her phone, the floor, the window, anywhere but you. When you ask if something's wrong, her eyes flicker away. When you lean in to connect, she blinks, nods, smiles faintly, but never holds your gaze. And it's subtle, so subtle that most men dismiss it. She's just tired, she's stressed, she's distracted. But you know better. Stoic men don't look away from truth, and they don't ignore when someone else does, because the eyes are primal. They cannot lie. They betray us the moment we try to withhold truth. So when a woman avoids your gaze, especially when it used to be a bridge between you, you must ask yourself, what truth does she no longer want me to see? Not every woman who avoids eye contact is cheating, but every woman who is hiding something of emotional weight, be it doubt, disconnection, or betrayal, eventually stops meeting your eyes. Why? Because your gaze reminds her of who she was when she still loved you. And that's painful. Looking into your eyes now feels like standing before a mirror, reflecting the parts of herself she no longer honors. So she disconnects. She maintains the conversation but dodges the emotional exchange. She smiles without sparkle. She nods, says I love you, but the timing is off like an actor in a forgotten scene. This is how emotional betrayal begins. Not with infidelity, but with invisibility. She starts erasing you not by leaving, but by ceasing to truly see you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never value anything as profitable to yourself, which shall compel you to break your word, to lose your self-respect, to hate, to suspect, to curse, to act the hypocrite, or to desire anything that needs walls and curtains." And what is eye contact, if not the clearest window into sincerity? If she cannot look at you during intimacy, during apology, during vulnerability, ask yourself what curtain she's drawing between you. Don't confront with accusation. Don't plead with emotion. Just observe. And if the pattern repeats, if her eyes never linger, never soften, never search for yours, the way they used to, she's already left the room, even if her body hasn't followed yet. The Stoic man doesn't rage over this. He doesn't cry for attention. He feels the absence and honors it. He doesn't beg to be seen. He becomes more visible to himself. He returns to the place where his truth lives, where his presence remains intact, regardless of who looks away. Because love that can't hold your eyes can't hold your future. Let her look away. Let her drift. Let her hide behind smiles and silence. You stay still. Stay sovereign. And when the time comes, you walk, not because she looked away, but because you finally stop needing her to look at all. Number 5. Her routine suddenly shifts. The days no longer look the same. The patterns that once grounded her now feel slippery, and the reasons she gives vague, convenient, just enough to keep you from asking too much. Once you could predict her rhythm like a tide. You knew her morning moods, her afternoon habits, the little rituals she clung to: coffee at 7, gym by 6, calls to her sister every Sunday. But now things don't add up. She's suddenly too busy for your evening calls. She forgets to mention where she's going after work. There are new friends, people you've never heard of before. New activities that conveniently don't include you. And when you ask about the changes, she answers in generalities. Just needed a little shift. Trying something new. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. But it is. Because routine to the feminine is safety. Predictability when in love is not a prison, it's the rhythm that grounds intimacy. And when a woman begins to dissolve that rhythm, when she starts inserting gaps, changes, unspoken space, it's often because her heart is drifting. Maybe not to another man yet, maybe not even fully away from you, but something inside her has stopped aligning with the life she's built with you, and so she carves out distance, tiny fractures, excuses wrapped in freedom. She claims it's for herself, but somehow it always seems to reduce the time, energy, and presence she gives to you. Here's the Stoic truth. You don't need to panic over change, but you must observe who benefits from it. Is her new schedule bringing her closer to truth? Or further into secrecy? Is her new lifestyle born from self-growth or from the slow erosion of emotional intimacy? The Stoic man doesn't chase. He doesn't beg for inclusion in someone's newly crafted life. He simply asks, am I being invited into her expansion or being quietly edited out of it? And he watches the signs. She goes out but no longer shares how it went. She changes routines but keeps you uninformed. She's emotionally present when convenient and emotionally absent when it matters. Marcus Aurelius taught, a man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. So what's her ambition now? Is it to grow with you or to silently grow away? If the answer is the latter, you don't cling to her past self. You don't romanticize the routines that once made her yours. You let her new patterns reveal her new priorities. And when you see that your presence is no longer essential to her structure, you don't resent, you release. Because the man who keeps chasing a place in a schedule that's already outgrown him becomes not a partner but a burden. You are not meant to fit into someone else's vague justifications. You are meant to build alongside someone whose changes include you. If she wants time, you give it. If she needs space, you honor it. But if she uses both to fade you from her reality without the courage to say so, you don't wait for her to finish the slow exit. You choose clarity, and then you choose yourself. Because routine is not just time, it's priority coded into behavior. And when you're no longer part of hers, you don't demand to be re-included. You simply stop participating in the quiet rehearsal of your own erasure. Number 6. Physical intimacy fades, but emotional distance grows deeper. When touch becomes routine, when kisses lack presence, when passion turns to politeness, it's not just a phase, it's a signal. She still touches you. Sometimes she may still kiss you goodnight, hold your hand in public, even sleep beside you, but it's not the same. The electricity is gone, the skin is there, but the soul has stepped back. What once ignited desire now feels like a task. The way she sighs before turning to you in bed, the way her lips move with you but never linger after, the way her body is near yet her mind is miles away. And at first you try to rationalize it. She's stressed, she's tired, it's just a busy season, but deep down you feel it. She's no longer making love, she's performing proximity. Because when a woman begins to detach emotionally, her physical connection follows suit. Not always all at once. Sometimes she still craves closeness, but not from love, from guilt, from routine, from the fear of what the absence might reveal. The touches become shorter. The moments of intimacy feel planned. The fire is dim, yet she smiles and tells you everything is fine. But fine is not the standard for love. Fine is the slow funeral of connection. And this is where most men fail themselves. They believe that as long as she still touches them, there's hope. They ignore the tone, the detachment, the emptiness between embraces. But the Stoic man listens not just to what is done, but how it is done. Epictetus wrote, "Freedom is the only worthy goal." And that includes freedom from needing others to validate our worth. So when the validation fades, when her skin touches yours but her energy pulls back, you don't panic. You notice, you breathe, and you ask yourself, does this touch feel like connection or like obligation? Because the body never lies. It remembers everything. It transmits truth even when words are silent. And when a woman can no longer fully enter the space with you, when her eyes close not in surrender, but in retreat, when she holds you not to stay connected, but to avoid questions, you don't push for more. You don't demand desire. You don't beg for heat in a fire that no longer has fuel. You accept, not out of defeat, but out of devotion to reality. The Stoic man doesn't use sex to measure love. He uses presence. And when presence is absent, he doesn't grasp at the ashes. He walks, not as punishment, but as protection. Because a man who honors his body refuses to let it be touched without soul. And a man who honors love refuses to let it be replaced by habit. So if the warmth fades, if her hands feel foreign, if your most intimate moments begin to echo with emotional silence, know this: you didn't lose her tonight. You lost her in the weeks she stopped showing up fully. You lost her in the mornings when she kissed you but didn't look at you. You lost her in the smiles that weren't real and the touches that were no longer sacred. But that doesn't make you less worthy. It just means the season has shifted. And a man of true depth, of true Stoic strength, doesn't beg spring to return once winter has arrived. He learns how to build fire from within. Number 7. She speaks of freedom more than us. When her language shifts from togetherness to independence, from we to me, she's not just asserting autonomy, she's preparing for exit. You hear it first in passing. I just need space. I want to figure out who I am again. I've been thinking about taking a solo trip, and at first you don't resist. Of course, every person needs time alone. You respect that, you support it. But soon you notice a pattern. The word we begins to vanish from her vocabulary. She no longer says our weekend, but my weekend. Not we should go, but I want to go. Conversations once rooted in partnership become monologues about self-fulfillment. And this isn't the empowered evolution of a healthy woman. This is something else. This is the early stages of detachment masked as a self-care narrative. It's a subtle but dangerous shift. You used to be her mirror. Now she wants no reflection but her own. You used to be her partner in dreams. Now your presence feels like an obstacle to them. She'll say she still loves you. She'll say this is about her, not you. But the Stoic man knows. When someone truly values you, their freedom includes you, not excludes you. You are not the jailer. You never were. You never stopped her from becoming anything. But something in her has already begun to disassemble the idea of us, to reclaim the narrative so she can leave without guilt. Because if she convinces herself that she lost herself in the relationship, then leaving isn't abandonment. It's empowerment. That's the illusion. But the Stoic sees through illusion. He sees that the woman who once loved through partnership now speaks only of herself, not because she suddenly found clarity, but because she's losing alignment. And this is where many men collapse. They try to make the relationship exciting again. They offer more freedom. They plan adventures. They try to support her journey more deeply. But no amount of permission will make someone include you in their evolution if they've already emotionally excluded you, Marcus Aurelius said. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. So be tolerant when she changes, but be strict when you notice that change no longer includes you. You must ask, is she growing or is she slowly vanishing? Is this freedom she's claiming a path toward us, or an exit disguised as enlightenment? The Stoic man does not cling to the version of her who once spoke in we. He does not fight the silence growing in between their sentences. He stands, still, clear, because when the bond becomes one-sided, when the pronouns shift from shared to solo, he doesn't beg to be reintegrated. He listens, and if the path is no longer mutual, he does what few men have the courage to do. He stops chasing and he starts releasing. Not with bitterness, not with blame, but with a calm understanding that a woman who truly sees you as part of her future will never frame her freedom as something she must have despite you. She'll build with you, not around you, not away from you, but with you. So when the story changes, when the us becomes inconvenient, when you become the footnote in her chapter of self-discovery, you don't become the obstacle. You become the observer, and then you become absent. Not as punishment, as preservation. Because a man who knows himself never fights to be included in a life that is quietly phasing him out. Number 8. The Stoic man's response to betrayal. He doesn't scream, he doesn't collapse, he doesn't chase. He withdraws with quiet power, with clarity, with dignity, untouched. Most men, when faced with betrayal, fall into one of two traps. They either explode in emotion, tears, shouting, begging, grasping for something that's already slipping through their hands, or they retreat into cold silence, not true, Stoic stillness, but the kind that festers, resents, and hardens into bitterness. But the Stoic man chooses neither. He does not react. He reflects. He does not lose his dignity to the hands that betrayed him. He strengthens his posture as if the blow to the chest reminded him how to breathe. Because to the Stoic, betrayal is not weakness in her. It's a lesson in him, a lesson in detachment, in discernment, in the radical choice to protect one's energy from dishonesty. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Let your intent be to keep your soul pure." So when betrayal happens, he does not become like her deceitful, performative, reactive. He becomes more like himself. He doesn't call her names. He doesn't shame her to friends. He doesn't post cryptic quotes on social media. He simply withdraws the most valuable thing a man can offer, his presence. And not just physical presence, but his attention, his protection, his care, his time, his emotional space. He understands. Betrayal is not just about sex, it's about energy. She redirected the intimacy meant for him towards someone else, and now the currency of love has been devalued. So what does he do? He chooses stillness over struggle, depth over drama, power over pity. He cuts the energetic cord not with vengeance, but with reverence for the truth. And here is where the world begins to respect him, not when he roars, but when he no longer needs to explain himself. Because the moment a man walks away with quiet certainty without apology or theater, he becomes unforgettable. The woman may forget his words, she may forget his gifts, but she will never forget how he didn't flinch when she showed her truth. And that stillness, that unshakable center, it will haunt her, not out of cruelty, but because it reveals everything she lost. Because he did not chase her shadow, he did not plead for her loyalty, he simply stood like a man who remembers who he is. And that is the rarest kind of power. A power born from knowing that nothing real can ever be taken. That love given to the wrong hands is not wasted, but refined into wisdom. So to every man who suspects, who watches, who sees the signs but hasn't yet decided, don't wait for confirmation to honor your instinct. Don't wait for evidence to trust your energy. If your soul is restless, it's not because you're insecure, it's because her presence no longer matches your path. And when that happens, you don't need to declare war. You simply leave the battlefield and build a kingdom elsewhere. The Stoic man walks away not because he is weak, but because he refuses to stay where truth no longer lives. Most men wait too long to see the truth. But you've seen it. And what you do next, quietly, calmly, without seeking validation, defines your strength more than any word she'll ever say. The signs were never loud. They whispered. They showed up in the curve of her smile that no longer reached her eyes, in the excuses, the screens, the silence between touches. And now you know. You don't need her confession. You don't need the perfect proof. You don't even need closure. Because the man who chooses to see clearly never waits for others to agree with his truth. He simply lives it. That's where your power is, in not losing yourself to suspicion, in not becoming the boy who begs, but the man who observes, decides, and detaches. You don't hate her. You don't villainize her. You don't crumble into the fantasy of who she used to be. You honor her memory, then you let it go. That's the Stoic path. You don't stay because of history. You don't hold on out of fear. You walk because your soul knows that staying where you are unseen is the greatest betrayal of all. You don't react. You rise. And when you rise in silence, you become the kind of man she'll feel in the emptiness she created. Because absence speaks louder than anger ever will. Now, brother, if this truth found you, if it opened your eyes, if it reminded you of who you are and what you deserve, then don't let this be the last moment you strengthen yourself. There is more to learn, more to build, more to become. Subscribe to this channel not for the content, but for the mirror it holds up to your power. Because here we don't teach men to chase. We teach them to stand still until everything false falls away.